Boring fellow zombies, are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Are we sleep screwed up and emotionally deprived? Or are we sleep deprived and emotionally screwed up? I'm all of those right now. 7 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. It is the Wednesday, the 15th of May. You're zombie out here. We were John C. of Rosamond, California. Is not alive, not awake, and debating the issues about that one and everything else going on. What's going on, guys? Don't mind me. I'm just a sleep deprived, screwed up zombie right now. Panicked over how much drives I've got left and freaking out about how to use one particular drive that was locked somehow. Still can't figure out how to get it unlocked. A long time ago when we did the storage drives, when it came out in the 80s and 90s for the floppies, for the personals, there was always a way of getting the thing copyrighted, protected, but usually permanent. But when it came down for the plastic ones, you usually had this slide on the top of it. You slide it, and then it's not right protected, and it can shove more data on the damn thing or take things off. But when it came down for the floppy drives, they actually didn't have those kind of protections on it. Unless, of course, you did a hole punch in the damn thing and it screws things up left and right. So that was fun. So I had a bunch of drives I'm still going through, but one of them, a certain type of drive, is still driving me crazy. And how the hell did I get that damn thing locked? I can't store anything else on the damn thing, but I can do a read only. That doesn't work for me. So I kept trying to find another drive that actually had more room on it, but not screwed up as much. And I actually found one, thank God. So I can still continue to do the videos and give a little bit of a breathing room here. But how long is this thing going to last before it jams up on me? Anyway, I got the appointment today with the online therapist again. Don't get me wrong, a long time ago I didn't think they were worth anything, but I'm glad I'm dealing with them anyway. Gives me a chance to pour things out, but I tell you one thing, when you're dealing with about 25 to 30 minute session, it doesn't give it enough time. Maybe about 40 to 45 minutes, but still not enough time. If I could afford a 2-hour session each time, I would. But they would cost too much. It would cost too much. I mean, trying to keep away from the Trump crap going on these days. It's still, it still give me, it still give me issues. Some things kind of popped out there that kind of ticked me off. I'm going over through my YouTube watched areas. Some things are just a little ticked off, and the others are not so much. Apparently, over the past couple of weeks, the college campuses who hosted involuntarily the student protesters on there, now the student protesters are finding out what the price of all of that protesting was all about. If that wasn't bad enough, there's a Texas superintendent of public education out there who's ripping off schools left and right to pay off Colorado schools. This schmuck set up private colleges that are going under in Colorado, and he's siphoning money off from Texas. He just became superintendent, and now this asshole's on a he's on a research. I mean, he's on a research, but investigations. Good. I hope so. Because this guy thinks he can scam everybody else left and right. Schools are drying up in Texas. They can't keep their funding. But this guy can siphon off a million here and a million there to pay off his own damn screwed up experiments in Colorado, and he thinks he can do it out here and out in Texas. Ooh, try it out here in California, asshole. Go ahead and try it. You'll never get past it. You'll never live it down. Getting back to the student protesters. I said before in some of my videos, and I said before that I will not take back, unless I'm going to make a slight correction here and there, regarding the Israeli Egypt peace accords. It was Begin who was in charge of Israel and Anwar Sadat of Egypt. And I screwed that up. I thought Begin was part of, well, I may have said that one. Begin was part of Egypt and Sadat was, no, it wasn't. I was wrong on that one. So it was Begin on Israel and Sadat on Egypt. Both guys got the Pulitzer Prize, Pulitzer Peace Prize. And both are dead, unfortunately. Killed by the extremists of their own state. Which somewhat relates to the protesters we've got in colleges over the past couple of months. They're hoping to disrupt a graduation to make sure that their messages are carried over, and then people would say, "Yes, we now understand what you're talking about." Yeah, well, they already understood what they were talking about, but did the students understand what the hell was talking about, what they were doing? I'm not talking about the message itself that they were trying to say. I'm talking about the actions of uh, the consequences of their actions at this point over here. Yes, they have the fundamental right for freedom of speech, and they are protected from government reprisal. Now, if we're talking about putting it on public property, that's one thing. But if you're talking about private property, there's even so much room that you have on that one. You still have ordinances. You still have rules and regulations of the townships, of the cities, of the counties, even of states. Would only allow so much on public property. You can protest for a short time, no problem. But you're going to be doing a hell of a camp out on this one? Now you're getting into the ordinances. And the ordinances are something that the federal government doesn't go for. Maybe the states, but not the federal government. So the students have to understand that every time they kept protesting, there were consequences in mind. But they say they're going to get out scot-free. They didn't do their homework very well on this one. When there were protests back in the 60s, there were consequences on that one. Our current chancellors out there in the universities aren't playing. Maybe some of them have remembered. Oh, there goes my coffee. Hang on. We're going to talk on this one. All right, keep this in mind, guys. The disclaimer again, I keep throwing at her so often. I'm not a guru. I've seen, examined, read, experienced, observed. That's what I'm pouring out. I don't have letter academia. I don't have letter credentials. But it's also common sense, if someone actually has any common sense, that is. You're going into a public property, paid for by the public, by state and federal grants, even by local grants. There is a certain amount of decorum. Say, for example, you're going into a park. Yeah, you're going to be expecting to play and have fun in the park. Problem is, how about dogs? Okay, well, if it's a dog park, that's one thing. But if you're walking your dog in there, there are rules and regulations concerning about dog poop. You carry bags, you carry a scooper with you, paper towels, something to scoop out the poop. If not, and you're caught on that one, you're screwed on that one. Let's say, for example, you're going to be marking up a piece of cardboard. You got a pen, marks a lot, maybe got cardboard, probably pulled this from somewhere. And you start walking around the park, close to the dog owners, to let them know that walking a dog in a park, you need to have a scoop. Especially if you happen to see, or if you're the protester, someone who doesn't have a scoop or bag or anything else like that. Protesters saying in there saying, like, for example, can't be here without proper cleanup equipment for your dog. Now, if the protester was just doing it out of his own mouth, that's one thing. But if he actually did his homework a little bit, he probably would put in the public commissions code or whatever kind of code it would use for that particular state. Maybe a county ordinance on there as research, but I don't think it'd go that far. You can't say it because it's against the law. Well, what law? I don't recognize the law. I've been here for 25 years walking my dog. What's your problem? We're stepping in too many of your dog's poop. Well, tough shit. There's a dog park about 5 miles away. Yeah, well, I live about a few blocks away from here. This is the closest park. You got a problem with it? Yeah, I do. People are complaining about your dog. And every other kind of dog. People are walking over here. We're stepping into their dog poop. They're not cleaning it up. Well, who cares? My dog's got to do what he's got to do. So you got a problem with that? 25 years been doing this damn thing and you hadn't heard. This is the first time you've heard of it? I've heard of it, and you'll think I don't care. I don't care. I've heard them all. I can do whatever I want. I've paid my taxes. I've done this. I've done that. And there goes the mouth going blah, 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 blah. Whatever kind of excuse and reason it is. So you got two parties who are complaining about this one here. Well, I'm going to report you to the police. Well, go ahead. All they got to do is cite me. Big whoop. Pay them like always, and then get on with it. So maybe the guy's got a multiple history on this one here. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Hold on. Hold on. So basically, guys are breaking an ordinance at this point, having dog poop on there without cleaning it up. Now he's going to get the payment. Now he's going to get the payback on this one. He thinks he can skirt until he runs into police officers, gives them citations. So, well, there may be somewhere in the citations they got a limitation on the warrant, leading up to a warrant, and then the guy's going for a bench warrant. You can't arrest me. I paid my tickets. Yeah, well, you've been doing this so many times. We got people complaining about you so many times. You're going to court. No, it isn't. No, sue. Guys goes to court, finds out there was ordinance regulations. Goes, yeah, I did that, but I paid them off. But you're doing it on a consistent basis. Now you're becoming a menace. Now either you get the equipment to clean it up with, or you don't go to the parks at all. You can't ban me. I pay my taxes. Yeah, and you paid your fines on a constant and consistent basis, but you're proving out to be a consistent pain in the ass. And we'll ban you from it. You can't do that. Yeah, granted, as I said before, I'm not a legal scholar. If there is state laws regarding it, probably. If there isn't, I don't know. I'm just making the shit up. But I'm trying to get to an example at this point. Now, the guy who protested, he did verbally, okay? But let's say, for example, if this guy continued it up, guy won his day in court, he's going back out there to do it again. Okay, so now the protester has got a cardboard sign. He's going to protest about this one. He's going to mouth off like crazy. He's going to yell and scream it to the people around. Of course, the guy with the dog is going to be pissed off about it. He wants a confrontation. Because now he feels like his civil rights have been violated. When actually, he's been violating everyone else's civil rights with the dog poop all over the damn place. Guy doesn't care. So, and if there had been no changes in the city council to put up the ordinances necessary to stop this action of this guy, or having the cops do something about it, maybe it was some kind of legal technicality or something like that. What is the protester going to do? They'll come out every single day and protest. But let's just say, to an example, that this gets even worse. Say, for example, some people actually decided to camp in the park. Maybe get a temporary permit for an overnight stay, but they're going to be using it as a protest against this guy. This guy walks a dog and poops all over the yard. What could have been done with the protesters on their side is brought out materials necessary for the guy to clean it up. But let's say the guy refuses. Instead of accepting generosity and getting the message like crazy, the guy cannot show something of a consequence. I wish to God I was a lawyer on this one. I wish I had more legal knowledge on this one, more legal experience, because then I can get into the full consequences of this damn shit. Of saying whether or not this guy is actually being the bad guy or the good guy. Was there a backstory on this guy doing the crap he's doing? Because there would have been legal hassles on this one, I think. So throw out that example over here. Now we're dealing with student protesters. Back to them again. They're trying to give a message out to the public and to the government and to the campus board to say, stop investing money into these companies that are killing people overseas. We want it to stop now. Well, we're going to stay here until you stop it. Public campus paid for by state and federal. And then student tuitions. But they are subjugated to state and federal, right? So they would have been considered public. But the universities, to me, are private entities. They're more like companies. They'll get paid by the government. They'll get paid by public taxpayer money. But they're still considered a company. They're not exactly pure public. Like you can go over to the steps of a Capitol building and still protest, state or federal. I mean, yeah, you can do that for a short time, and then afterwards, the local ordinances out there are going to tell you, you have the right to do so, but your time has been expired. You got to push off. No, you can't do this to me. There are Supreme Court decisions out there stating that you have the right to protest, but you don't have control over the time and the place to do so. And that's up to the local ordinances. They're not going to make that kind of tight controlling. They would refer it over to the state on that one. If it made it to the state Supreme Courts, they would have to make that ruling specifically. Regarding the consequences, what the students are going through, they should have thought about this one a long time ago. This is going to be damaging their future, and they don't care about it. But it'd be a worthwhile cause for peace. Yes, it is. And yes, they'll be willing to sacrifice everything for it. But they don't see it that way. They want things done now. They're going to be demanding, and they want it done now. And then they think there's going to be no consequences. They won. There's going to be no consequences. I hate to say this, but every time there's a conflict going on, regardless if it's going to be illegal or if it's going to be a verbal or if it's going to be physical, there's going to be consequences on this one. You may win the fight, and you think it's the war, but no, it's not. You just won the skirmish. But there's always prices to the skirmish. There's always collateral damage. There's always some kind of damage on both sides. You say, well, it's worth it. Is it? You have to understand sometimes the prices you're going to be paying is going to be awfully high. And what the students are discovering right now, it's going to be way higher than they expected. When they can't go back to school anymore, banned for life, in a certain public education system. Even the private universities will have an issue. There had been state courts out there who hired from Columbia University. People who made law review, people who made it as far as they could in the hierarchy of legal learning, shall I call it, of law school. They're ready to be interns. But you have federal and state judges out there appointed by Trump who say, no, you're tainted. You did this. You protested. You practice your First Amendment rights. We're, we're telling you, no, you can't clerk for us. Us judges who have been where you've been, but we're still screwed up and corrupt enough to say no, because the First Amendment doesn't apply here. We apply here. We're the law. Kind of reminds me of a movie and a certain comic character out there back in the 70s and 80s and made popular up until this point. Judge Dredd and the judges of the cursed earth. Judge Dredd was a creation back in England, United Kingdom. A future where mankind warred and polluted and turned the earth into a scorched, inhospitable environment, except for certain areas that actually survived and struggled for survival for 100 years or more, the megacities. And they created a society called the judges, judge, jury, and executioner. They would have a prison, and you're consigned there for a time. Then afterwards, you get back into the megacities again. But to have that much power, judge, jury, and executioner, it's like having one of our cops out there who is really going badge heavy at this point. Either they've been in the force or else they don't care anything else but what they know his badge gives them authority and power. And so they would see somebody who's probably doing a obstruction of law or some kind of violation and start going after them, harassing them, throwing them in jail. Next thing you know, they're getting sued and then proven that the cop was wrong. There could have been other circumstances, and they had to be examined on both sides. In a situation regarding the students, they have to look at it from both sides when they're protesting. They can feel they have the right and the might for it, but the problem is the consequences are going to be biting them in the ass, and they still have to be prepared for it, and they're not. They don't want to be. If they were prepared for it, they wouldn't be going through what they were going through right now. If I'm going to protest, I better understand what the hell's going on and what are the drawbacks. And what are the risks I'm willing to take. And understand that I may or may not be able to do the things that I can do right now as it is. Say, for example, if we didn't have the graduation ceremony just yet, but we already had it a couple of weeks back. And if I was going over to the campus to join, I'm saying hypotheticals here. And we're going to protest, not about Israel, but maybe something else that's taking up the students a great deal. Some issue, either about the campus or about state, local, federal, something would piss them off. To the point where they're going to be marching up and down, shouting, using signs, drums, God knows what else. Now, granted, it's a public entity. I mean, the public can go on there and apply for classes. But it's also considered a private place because you don't go on there without a purpose. Meaning, if you're just going to be fiddle farting around over there, they don't want it. The cops will ask you for your ID. If you're a student, you show it to them. If you're not a student and you only show another ID and you don't have a reason over there, the cops will shoo you off or arrest you for trespassing. That's how it is for the community colleges out here. They do that. To protect the students, to protect the faculty, they'll follow the rules and regulations of the state that they're in to protect their area. You'll have a time, if you're a student, to protest. I mean, if I could put up a sign saying, "This is a sign, I'm protesting that this is a sign." They'll be asking me what the hell that sign's for. The sign is there. The sign is there. Look at the sign. This is the sign. Okay, what's the sign about? Don't you understand? This is a sign. So let me get this straight. You're on this campus for a reason. I'm a student. I am showing a sign. I am protesting. This is a sign. Orange juice. Okay. We're trying to understand why you're doing this. You don't understand that it's right in front of your face. Okay. Why don't you come inside and talk about it? No, no, no. I must go outside. I must show this piece of paper to everybody. I must put it on a cardboard. Yes, I need me a permanent marker. I'm going over to the student store. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I have a legitimate purpose to go over there, and I am getting my supplies over there. You're just stating that you're committing a crime. No, I'm not. I'm protesting, and it's my First Amendment right to protest. So I'm protesting. Even if one guy does this, he's really going to be calling in the cops on this one. The cops are going to be pulling him in and trying to figure out if he's a 5150 or not, if he's psychotic. But if he's got a legitimate concern over something. But then, if I happen to do that kind of situation, putting up a sign saying, this is a sign, I am protesting, this is a sign, and sticking to people's faces, you know what kind of an irritation that is? That's an irritation right there. That's going to be producing a lot of anger out of people, or confusion, or laughter at this point. But it attracts attention. And sometimes you attract the right kind of attention, and at a time you're attracting attention with bracelets on it. Somewhere over here, I have something that says a sign on it. Oh, I don't know. It's just a lot of notes I got on this one. Somewhere in here, maybe in this book, maybe in the other book, that actually said, this is not it. Well, maybe. Don't you understand? This is a book. This is a book. So what are we doing? But this is a sign. Okay, I need to see whether or not I actually did that one or not. I mean, I know I did it in there somewhere. I wrote it down. And now I can't seem to find a damn thing. With it. That was a clean enough book. It should have been the other one. But you can't do this! Because this is a sign. This is a book. You cannot do this. We got a problem, we got a problem, we got a problem, we got a problem. Yes, everybody's got a problem on this one. Somewhere in there, I did this one damn thing. It should have been last year's. It had to be last year's. I just wrote the damn thing in here. You mean I gotta put it on here again? I'm irritated. Give me a second, I gotta do something irritating. Okay, here we go. Controversial. Did a screenshot? Good. This is a sign. Imagine if I happen to put this on here. But I did it on the paper. But you don't understand. This is a sign. Okay, what's it mean? You can't ask me that. You cannot ask me that. This is a sign. This is a sign. This is a sign. Okay, so? Of course, the natural response would be a guy having a conniption fit and freaking out, going, ah! Yes. This is a sign. What's it about? This is a sign. Of course, question goes back and forth like that. What was the purpose? Well, did it get your attention? Yes. Made its purpose. What was the meaning? Did you read it? Yeah. Then you got the meaning. And now, If I was a protesting student, I'd go on my college campus. Oh boy, they're going to love me for this one here. And I would go across the campus, up and down the main central area that we have, screaming and yelling my head off at people, saying, "This is a sign! This is a sign! This is a sign! This is a sign!" Probably come up to one of the teachers and say, "This is a sign! This is a sign!" They probably think a crazy guy's out there with a sign. Think it's probably the end of the world. If they had a clue that it meant the end of the world, they would have to look at the sign saying, "This is a sign." But what is the sign? The sign, the word sign in itself would have many meanings on it. Hold on. Wrong mouse. Gotta move the back scratcher. Okay. Wait a minute. Definition. All right. Definition. Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Merriam-Webster.com. Okay. Sign. Okay. Now, sign could be a noun. Sign could be a verb. It has synonyms. I'm not talking about spicing here. Synonyms in verb and in noun. So in the noun, there's several of them. Signal, or sign language, or signal, signboard, portent. Basically something of a solidified item or expression here. Signal. So I'm signaling people that this is a sign. I'm throwing up this piece of paper with ink on it saying this is a sign. Now, sign language, that's for damn sure. Signboard, maybe. But if I'm going to be doing the verb, I'm going to be placing a sign, marking up a sign, or creating a sign. Attach a signature. Convey communication, signal something. I am doing something about this. I am showing an example, weird as it is. Otherwise, I could be just writing a sign saying I hate life, or I like life, or life sucks, or something like that. Something to bring people's imagination or emotions. Speaking of which, almost close to that time again, isn't it? Okay, next session.